My name is Elliot. I've been a business consultant for 30 years. I'm going to pull a name out of this box at random of someone who taught me a life lesson. And today's name is Fiona Henderson. But interview, equality, and kindness. Fiona Henderson used to be a manager of mine many years ago when I was 25 years old, first kind of real job. And the bit that is in my mind is my interview for that role. When I left university, I was unemployed for about a year. I went on the 6-month kind of reprogramming support training that people who've been on benefits for a while go on, which I found very helpful to realign my mind. And then I applied for this job. I wasn't qualified for it. I had a building construction degree, and the job was to be a researcher in a business support organization called Business Link. But I thought that's what I actually want to do, not what I actually studied. I thought, well, I'll apply anyway. That's a good lesson by itself, isn't it? Just have a go anyway. So I send off my application. I get invited to interview. Off I go. I turn up. There's Fiona and 2 workers there, 2 colleagues. That's the interview panel, 1 HR person. And the interview's going okay, I think. Right? It's going okay. And she says to me, "What would you do if you were in this situation?" And I said, "Well, if that was the person in that situation, he would do this, he would do that. I think he'd do that, and he'd probably do this." Right? And the interview just stopped. And Fiona just stopped the interview and said, "I don't remember telling you it was a man." And that took me back. That put me back a moment because I was like, what? It's not the expected question. Well, I'd been to boys' school. I'd been to construction, very male dominated arenas, I suppose. Didn't even occur to me that this might offend someone, but it definitely did. So the interview stops, and Fiona says, "I don't remember telling you this was a man." I said, "Oh, okay." And I took a moment to compose myself. I said, "Absolute rubbish answer." I said, "Well, I was talking about he in the context of mankind." Right? All the time I'm thinking, this is over. This is just over. And that's what happened. Anyway, I then get offered the job, which I thought was fantastic. I thought, wow, that was interesting. And working with Fiona, who was very forward thinking back then, taught me a lot about my perceptions, my thinking, and perhaps maybe I should be thinking about other things rather than just he and they and all that kind of stuff. It was useful in that respect. But I was surprised to get the job. And then about 3 years into the job, or 2 years, there was a conversation in the office, and she said, well, the worker did. Well, we only recruited you because we wanted to get a pay rise, because we had an all-woman team, and we thought if we recruit a man, we'll probably get a pay rise. And while that may sound ridiculous, right, what happened within 2 years of me working in that team is they doubled our salary. There was a performance review to see what we did, and our salaries doubled. Now, I don't know if that's a coincidence or not, but I remember thinking at the time, wow, that's interesting, because you don't often think of it that way, is I was recruited, hopefully not just because of this, because I was a man. And what they thought would happen did happen. And that taught me a lesson about equality and thinking from other people's perspectives, and probably the unfairness of the workplace.